Okay, guys, I gave you instructions in the dressing room. I'm going to let you work all this over here, okay? It's legal. Give me a good, clean fight, okay? Touch him up.
Just about to get underway. This bout is scheduled for 8 rounds. And, Ray, I want to bring up something you mentioned. It's a very good point about Jalen Renaud, who has been very active on social media, calling out a lot of these New England fighters. And we love to see it. Yes. Of course, like you said, you want to see it backed up in the ring. Renaud was supposed to fight Casey Streeter back in, I think, 2023 in the summer. That fight ended up getting scrapped due to injury, so that layoff extended. But, again, you're right. He has called out almost anybody in his weight class in this area and wants to conquer New England before prohibitively stepping up to the next level. We'll see if that starts here tonight.
And that's what you want these fighters to do, you know. I want to beat my own backyard before I call anybody out. And I love that he's been calling out these fighters. But like I've been telling everybody, if you're going to call, you know, everyone says, well, I'm not fighting because this guy won't fight me. There's plenty of other fighters out there. So why haven't you fought? I think this round here, both fighters are going to try to make their point right away. They don't like each other.
There seems to be some bad blood that's been brewing, and a lot of it probably is from the call-out in previous months. And, of course, Jalen Renaud, as you mentioned too, Ray, and this is something that I almost had slipped my mind, that fighting a lot heavier than we're used to seeing. He came in at 152. The bout was scheduled or contracted at 154, but typically he's been at 147 and probably capable of even fighting lower than that in the past. So you wonder if it's a conditioning thing or if it's just an opportunity that he sees, and so here he is taking it.
Obi is, you know, ready for this fight here. Castro, you know, been coming over, catching him already 2 times I saw with an overhand right. Ronaldo, you know, he's got a good jab, but he's keeping it out there. And Castro just coming right over the top of it.
It's such a big fight for both fighters for different reasons. Jalen Renaud fighting in memory of his late father, John Renaud, who brought him up from the start, introduced him to boxing. A big figurehead in his corner for so many years. And that's a tough loss, no question about that.
Definitely. You know, that's the big thing in the corner, too. You know, hearing a different voice. You always, when you're in doubt, you got your father there, or the guy who brought you to be there. For him not to be there, you know, hopefully, you know, he pulls it out and wins for him.
And, of course, as we mentioned, Castro, the last time, and which was also the first time he had fought for CS, took a tough loss against Mr. Luis Charles, got knocked out of Mohegan Sun. That was the first loss of his career. He's responded since then with 2 wins and trying to get back again in the win column and make it 3 in a row. And another very tough fight, and then another step up, measuring stick type fight really for both guys. One of the familiar faces you will see in Renaud's corner is Hector Rosario, who they brought in really when Renaud was younger, so he's been with him for quite some time. So there is at least one very familiar voice there.
Yes, a lot of people don't know this. Hector Rosario beat me in the amateurs.
No kidding.
He's the first guy to honestly not just beat me, stopped me.
Wow.
My first and only stop.
Nice right hand there by Castro. Learn something new every night here, Ray, I gotta say. This one's scheduled for 8. In the super welterweight division, Jalen Renaud in the, well, both fighters really in the black and red trunks. We'll say Castro's got the fur-lined trunks. Final seconds here. Good opening round, too, for both fighters, but Castro looking sharp, Ray. I just see a much more confident fighter than I saw in that fight a couple of years ago. It looks like a different fighter to me.
Both fights, you know, both fighters, I thought would come out throwing punches, but both fighters this first round was patient, calm, see what the other one got. I gave that round there to Ronaldo, but very close. It could have went to either way. I gave it Ronaldo because he stood him out on the outside with that jab as Castro was trying to get his way in. He caught him a couple times to the overhand right at first, but as the round was going on, Ronaldo picked it up with that jab and kept him outside.
Well, that's what's interesting. You and I felt the same way about the opening fight. There were some close rounds there that we weren't sure which way they would go, and clearly the judges had that same conflict. When you have a 39-37 in one direction and then a 39-37 in the opposite direction, it's not a case of necessarily seeing an entirely different fight, but just seeing it from a different perspective.
Exactly.
And so that's what you got to really consider with judges in determining how a fight may go. It's impossible to know as a fighter. You just have to go in there basically and execute your game plan. Round 2 underway. Once again, Michael Parenti and Ray Oliveira joining you ringside on Swerve Combat, CES Boxing Homecoming. An appropriate title here. The first time we've been back here at Bally's for pro boxing since November of 2022, so it's been a long time coming.
I love the fights here. It's not a, it's not a bad seat.
No.
Every seat around here is beautiful. You can sit in the front, you can sit in the back, and it seems like you're in front.
It's a great atmosphere. This place, when it opened in 2008, boxing was immediately a staple. Peter Manfredo Jr., Jason Big Six Estrada, Matt Godfrey. So many legends in New England have fought in this ring. Gary Boletto fought in this ring.
Yes.
I mean,
yes.
you think back how far back it goes, and the history and the lineage here is incredible. And perhaps tonight you see some of the great stars of the present and perhaps the future of this sport as well in this ring.
Well, I'd say both fighters are still filling out each other. Renaud so beautifully putting that jab out, and every time Castro comes in with that right hand, he steps back and comes back with his own right hand. And then sometimes Castro is working his jab in and comes with either that overhand right and left hook.
Nice right hand there. Yep, there it is.
He gets close to that jab and he pops that right hand right over the top. Nasso's keeping that left hand very low. That's why he's getting caught with that overhand right. Castro get that peekaboo defense. Looks a little bit like Duran.
Well, he certainly looks the part, and you can see why Chuck Sherns took an interest in him at a younger age, and they really want to see where this is going to go.
You can look at Castro and see, he got them wide shoulders, good head movement, hands up high, and strong.
And what we didn't even mention, he's only 26 years old.
Oh, okay.
I mean, imagine 12 pro fights at 26 is a very good pace.
Yes. 11
Similar
wins, 8 knockouts.
Right, and a similar pace to Alejandro Paulino, who we'll see in the main event, who's also had, and he's had a few more, but it's good to see these fighters busy at this age, and you start to get toward the late 20s range, you've got a good 15, 16 fights on your belt. It's a little bit easier to turn that corner and take that next step forward. Again, that right hand.
He's finding a home for that. He's very patient. He's coming in, he's not jumping in. He's coming in off that jab, Castro. He's putting that jab out and then popping that right hand right over the top. That left hook also just, that's what's setting up that right hand, the left hook.
Final 8 seconds here, round number 2. Again, the nice hook there by Castro, catching Renaud on the way in. Much better round here for Castro. We've got 2 in the books. Don't go anywhere. We're going to bring you more on Swerve Combat. Two Bally's, Twin River Lincoln, Michael Parenti and Sucre Ray Oliveira bringing you all the action here on Swerve Combat. You're watching the second of 5 bouts tonight. Jalen Renaud taking on Josniel Castro in the 8-round bout. This is round number 3, the second bout of the evening. So far, so good, Ray. Very evenly matched bout.
Definitely is. Castro seems like he came out a little bit more emphasis this round. I think he's picked up on Reynoso's pace. Reynoso is, he wants to come forward. He should be the boxer. Castro wants that to happen. He wants him to stand there and fight him.
And that's what you want to see, Ray, right, from a fighter. If you're in Castro's corner, you want to see him have that ability to pick up on a tendency maybe or something that Renaud is doing that if it's repetitive, you can attack it.
Exactly. I tell my fighters all the time, my amateur boxers, let me be the GPS, you drive.
Nice.
You ain't going to get to your spot unless you listen to the GPS. And it looks like Castro is listening to the GPS, which is his corner. He's patient. He's walking him down, not just with his head. He's walking him down with that punch. He's coming off. That left hook and jab is setting up everything.
Well, you're right, Ray. He's been very patient. Good counterpuncher, Castro is. I think Renaud, there's a nice right hand again.
He's definitely finding a home for that overhand right.
I think Renaud wants to be the aggressor, but it's harder to do that when you're facing a very good counterpuncher in Castro.
Renaud shouldn't be the aggressor. I mean, he has 11 wins. I mean, I'm sorry, 9 wins, but three knockouts. And, you know, everybody's knockouts come early careers when they think they're going to knock out everyone. That's the new thing now. Everybody wants to be an MMA fighter and go for that big bang.
Sure.
It's boxing.
There is that pressure, right, to close the show out when you're at home, or a big fight in front of your home crowd to send everybody home happy. But you're right, Ray. You just got to get the victory. The knockouts, you and I talk about this all the time. It's about setting up the knockout, building toward it. And you wonder if that's a problem where the sport is being taught at a lower level.
I believe, you know, my opinion, I think it is being taught at a lower level. I train a bunch of amateurs, and I had a question everybody on Facebook. Do you train a pro or amateur differently? And some people said, yes, you do. I'm like, how? You know, we got to teach the basics to these amateurs. We got to put the punches down the pipe. These combinations, landing combinations, don't come out and just throw bombs. You're not going to knock out everybody with headgear in the big amateur gloves.
A lot easier said than done. Renaud and Castro again. Final 10 seconds here of round number 3. All right, there's the bell. Ray, how you see it so far?
I definitely give that round to Castro. He was countering the punches. He's doing his game plan. He's staying to his game plan and doing what he wanted to do. Where Renaud was trying to stay there and let's rumble. No, you don't want that. Get on your toes in all boxing. You're the bigger and taller guy.
And again, you see Hector Rosario in Renaud's corner. Been there for a long time and has been one of those voices that Renaud has been able to lean on through the years. Of course, his father no longer with us, and so that obviously has an impact. And you see Kenrick Ball Sr., in addition to Chuck Stearns in the corner of Josniel Castro. Kenrick Ball has trained his own son, Kenrick Ball Jr., for many pro fights here at Bally's, and he was the one that brought Castro to Chuck Stearns, and Chuck took an immediate liking to him, and here we are now at 11-1 with 8 knockouts. And again, we just keep harping on the fact that this is a very big crossroads fight for both guys. Castro wants to keep that win streak going and fully get that loss kind of out of the back of his mind, which in most fighters probably after winning 2 would forget about it, but it's always kind of lingering there, and the further you can get away from that, the better.
Yeah, I think this fight here is going to be a range of condition. I haven't seen either fighter go 8 rounds yet, so it's going to be a thing to condition. Who's going to be more conditioned to throw their punches and do what they want to do.
As Ray mentioned, this one is scheduled for 8, so we're at the halfway point, at least at the end of this round if we get there. And Castro, and both Renaud have only gone 6. They've only been scheduled for 6, so it is new territory if we get to that point. And I'm always fascinated by the level of conditioning. We know guys go in there and spar 10, 12 rounds and certainly prep for this, but of course it's different when the bell rings and the fighter is really out there trying to get at you.
I had a friend who said, he's going to his first 10 rounds. He spied like 20 rounds in the gym. I see you do 10. I said, it's a lot different doing 10 in front of a crowd.
That's another point, too.
After the fight, he told me I was dead at the 4th round.
The left hook there by Renaud.
Renaud's coming out and he's pressuring. Prove me wrong. I think he should be on his toes. Castro's going to want him to be there just so he can punch. But he's got to let them hands go to Castro. He's holding back those hands. I think he's looking for that big shot.
I agree. I think he's had success early in this fight counterpunching, so perhaps now he's leaning more toward it and looking for it. And that can take you out of the game plan too, can it? Yeah, it does. He wants to keep the game plan. To my fighters all the time, don't fix what ain't broken. If your jab's landing, keep that jab going. Why go to something else? Add something to it. Don't take it away. 1 minute to go here in round number 4. This one's scheduled for 8 in the super welterweight division, rather.
And also definitely winning this round so far. He's walking Castro down, which is where Castro's backing up. And he's putting his punches with combinations. He's not throwing one punch no more, Renaud. So he's putting in three to four punch combinations.
No, that's a good point, Ray. You wonder if Renaud's starting to pick up some confidence a bit here. And on the flip side, is Castro just waiting for that perfect opportunity a little too much, and has that tempered his aggressiveness?
Each fight is playing chess here. You know,
Yeah.
it will come a time, you're going 8 rounds. Let's start playing chess and let me just win these rounds. I need 2 rounds, not 1 round after another. See, Castro's there, he's waiting. Before, he was walking in with that jab. He's backing up and waiting for Naso to come forward and counter it.
That's exactly what it is. And now you see Renaud again letting his hands go.
Yes.
2-3 punch combo. Much better round here for Renaud, though he catches one a little bit on the way in there at the final bell. But again, we're seeing some improvement now, and perhaps we're seeing the confidence pick up for Renaud.
Yeah, Renaud for that round there. He was being the aggressor, but Castro was backing up on him and was waiting to counter punch instead of using that jab. To counter off your jab, Castro. Don't wait for Renaud to come in. Renaud was landing 3 punches. He was jumping in, but coming in off that jab, his own jab, and landing his own combination.
Well, it's going to be very interesting to see here now that we've reached the halfway point of the fight. I think both corners have had enough time to see how this fight could go, or at least what the other side can bring to the table. So now I think this is the time where you want to make that adjustment midway through and maybe turn up the pressure a little bit. I think if you're Castro's corner, like you said, Ray, you want to see a little bit more aggressiveness there.
I definitely want to see the aggressiveness on Castro. I want calm aggression. I don't want him to rush in on him. He was doing calm aggression. He was working in with his jab, coming with the right hand, using his hook. Then after his hook, come back with the right hand. Because Renaud was the one waiting. But Renaud, his corner adjusted and said, look, we're going to be aggressive. We got to be aggressive by landing 3-4 punches. We ain't going to be aggressive with 1 punch.
Round number 5 underway. Once again, you're watching us on Swerve Combat. Here comes Jalen Renaud again, letting his hands go. 2-3 punch combo. And right back to that stiff left jab. Nice left hook by Renaud.
That's what he's got to get back to now. Castro, he's got to come up with that left hook.
Good early action here in round 5 on Swerve Combat. Michael Parenti and Sucre Ray Oliveira with you all night. Renaud in the black and gold trunks, and Castro with the fur lining down the side.
See, Renaud, in the rounds that I had him losing, what he was doing is he was waiting for Castro to come in, and he was stepping back. And it gave Castro time to counter. Now, as soon as Castro comes in, he's standing his ground with Naso and coming back with 3 punch combinations. So right there, again, he's coming back with his own combinations. He's not backing up. He's standing his ground and letting his hands go.
He's definitely been busier, and you wonder how that influences judges. Sometimes you and I sit here and we look and we try to measure which punches are more impactful, but some judges look at volume, and that's important.
Yeah, volume, everybody know I threw volume. It didn't help me a lot of times in my world
Right.
championship fights.
You said volume records.
Yeah, you know, he's throwing more volume now, but he's snapping Castro's head back.
Yeah.
He's putting the weight into his shoulders and his hips.
And Castro looks like he's trying to charge in a little more than we saw in rounds 3 and 4, to his credit. Maybe not enough yet, but it's there, and we know he has it in him. And you wonder if it's a pacing issue, too. Both fighters knowing it's scheduled for 8, it's a different game. But there's a line between pacing and then just sitting back and not being aggressive.
When you stop pacing yourself, you also losing rounds.
1 minute to go here in round 5. Again, we're scheduled for 8. Nice combo there by Castro.
See, he's the person who's lands in 3-4 punch combinations.
That's really the theme here, is just the volume and who brings it a little bit more than the other fighter.
Castro is on his toes. I don't like that. I like him to sit down. Go back to that Roberto Duran you was doing. You don't sit down and dance with your shoulders, not with your feet. And also from that strong jab. He's standing his ground and he's backing him up with that strong jab. There he goes. And also walking him down and letting them punches go. That's when Nelson wants to keep him on those ropes.
Make him circle, make him backpedal. And there goes Renaud again, charge again here in the final 10 seconds of round 5. Good action so far. It's been a very close fight. Looking forward to seeing how the rest of this plays out. We're going to toss it to break. Stay with us on Swerve Combat. Welcome back to Bally's Twin River Lincoln. Thank you for joining us on Swerve Combat. Michael Parenti and Sucor Ray Oliveira bringing you the second of 5 bouts here at CES Homecoming. Jalen Renaud taking on Josniel Castro. We're just about starting round 6. Very close fight, Ray.
Definitely is a close fight. That last round there, I gave that to Jalen. I thought his game plan was, and his corner switched it up, was to sit there and just throw off combinations.
Seems like, and again, it's a seems like thing, that the middle rounds have been better for Renaud. I thought Castro got off to a better start, and I feel like Renaud has made better adjustments. Is that accurate?
Yeah, definitely. Renaud is making adjustments. His corner has made adjustments. He's winning the better rounds. And also, he fooled me. Jalen Renaud looks like he's in shape.
Yeah. We weren't sure because of the weight. Renaud, I know in the past, had been a stickler about fighting at 147 and not wanting to fight heavier, running the risk of these 154s blowing up to 165 the next night, where he's still at 148, 149. You can understand that. But here he is at 54. Both guys came in at 52, so I think the concern, or the lack thereof, was that Castro was going to blow up and be a glorified middleweight on fight night, which isn't the case. And Renaud's held his own here as we get halfway through round 6. He's looked very good in these middle rounds.
Usually you see him also on his toes in boxing. He came out here sitting down. Yeah. Sitting down and walking down his own opponent.
That's a little short left there by Castro. But you want to see more of it, and you want to see him follow up with 2 or 3 more.
I don't like seeing Castro on his toes. When he's on his toes, he's vulnerable for an also who's just walking him right down.
Good overhand right there by Castro. Trying to be a little more aggressive here, Ray. Maybe he's taking your advice from the side here.
Well, it's weird. It's like the person who jumps on his toes is the one that gets hit. The one who walks them down and sits on his base and comes forward is the one who's laying the combinations.
Just under a minute to go in round 6. Renaud and Castro putting on a pretty good show here in the second bout.
I keep calling Renaud. It's Renaud. See, combinations. The person who throws 1 punch will get connected. The other person throws 3-4 punches.
It seems like such a simple thing, but of course much different when the bell rings and remembering the game plan, but also being able to execute it.
That's why the corner has to be sometimes verbal on that, not giving a bunch of directions, but more verbal on let's stick to the game plan. Yeah. What is the game plan?
There's the belt for round 6. So, Ray, in a sense, when you're talking about working it from a cornerman perspective, which you've done so many times in your career, is it safe to say that sometimes you have to remind a fighter to just stick to the basics?
Yes. Yeah. They fall off the plan. Just like I said, when we listen to the GPS, we always think, the GPS is wrong. I'm going to go this way. It's going to be traffic.
I know the way,
Yeah, the GPS isn't wrong. The other person in there taking the punches. That last round here was a tough round. Each fighter was switching up every 30 seconds. Renaud with him 3-punch combination. Renaud and Castro land 3-punch combination. I would have to give that round, in my belief, probably to Castro, because I thought he landed much more stronger punches.
Well, we have 6 rounds in the book, so it's hard to tell how this is being scored thus far, but perhaps Renaud has a slim lead and maybe could do more here in these next 2 rounds to either cinch the fight or perhaps he's behind. Again, we don't really know.
I have right now 3-3.
Could be.
These last 2 rounds, I say, could call the fight.
These could be what you would call the championship rounds, right? Come down to the final 6 minutes of the fight.
The good thing will be if we get another draw, we get another match.
You get another matchup. You get another rematch. Well, that's the quality of matchmaking that CES brings to the table with every fight. These are well thought of, evenly matched bouts. You saw that in the opener. You're seeing it again here with Castro and Renaud.
Renaud's right eye is a little swollen, almost closed there. Could that eye help Castro, who will be walking in, throwing that left hook?
I feel like, Ray, while Renaud has been aggressive, he's also been careful, right? There's a way to be aggressive without being reckless.
Yes, that's why I call it calm aggression. I tell a lot of my fighters, be aggressive, but calm aggression means just don't rush it.
Right.
Come in with that jab. Come in with dancing with your shoulders.
Almost halfway through round 7. Again, we're scheduled for 8. Renaud in the black and red trunks and Castro in the black and red with the gray fur trim. Both players trying to launch a big right there. Both missed just slightly.
Castro was definitely laying in that left hook on Renaud's right eye.
And you're right. It's been swelling up a little bit on that side for Renaud.
Yeah, if Castro keeps going to his left and just throw off that left hook, and that right hand can come right over the top. Renaud keeps dropping that left. Even though it's working for him there, these guys got to pick up that shoulder.
There it is. Castro picking up the pace here a little bit in these closing seconds of round 7. And you wonder if his corners instruct him by saying, maybe you fall into a little bit of a lull in those middle rounds, and now it's time to put the foot on the pedal again. Show that conditioning that you've worked for.
This is Castro's weight class. He's fought this weight class. Renaud is moving up. We don't know if he can carry his weight class. Is he tall? Yeah. Does he look like he should be in his weight class? Yeah. Let him prove it to me.
It's a very interesting dynamic because he could be a very fitting 154 or a taller 147, right?
Yes,
and then it just comes down to where you're comfortable. Can you make the weight over the course of time? And you know how that goes, Ray. As fighters get older, they tend to move up in weight.
A lot of fighters think, I walk around 180, so, I probably could fight 165. Nah, it's not. Walking around and training, two different things.
Exactly. Final 15 seconds here of round 7. Jalen Renaud and Josniel Castro. A very good chess match bout. And a very close one. And again, Ray, another very close round here. How do you see this one?
I saw this round here for Castro. He did what he wanted to do. Which surprised again, he was on his toes, but he was popping in and sitting on his punch. Yes, he was on his toes, but every time he came in and sat down, he was throwing 3-punch combinations. And Renaud, I think that, that right eye being closed is causing a problem for him to see now.
And that is one of those factors that a lot of people don't consider when thinking about a fight as it progresses. It may not look bad, it may not be bloody or bleeding, but if that eye is closed, your line of sight is off, it can change the entire outcome of the fight. It certainly can change your approach, right? And you feel it.
Definitely feel that eye swollen. Every time he gets hit, it's not hurting because your adrenaline's going, but you can feel it closing up on you.
Here we go, 8th and final round of this super welterweight battle between Josniel Castro and Jalen Renaud. A very entertaining fight. Both sides, I would say, have had their moments in this bout.
This fight has definitely been a chess match.
Yes.
One of the best chess matches I've seen so far today. But let's see if Renaud could work his combinations coming in, sit his ground. And if Castro, either or, he won the last round doing something I didn't think he should do. You shut my mouth.
And sometimes, Ray, the approach in that final round can tell you where a fighter thinks he is in the fight. They come out super aggressive, perhaps they feel they're behind, and maybe not. If a fighter feels he hasn't won, which is always dangerous, it can certainly change the perspective. But both fighters look very aggressive here at the beginning of this 8th round, and perhaps an opportunity to, if you steal this last one, if this fight is close enough, this could be the deciding factor for all we know.
Renaud is staying tall. I think what Castro is doing is he's starting at the body and then ending the combination back up top. It's right there. He gave him the feint like he was going to his body and threw that left over his right hand. See, this is where Castro should let his hands go, right there in the middle when he gets there.
Instead, you have Renaud with a little 3-punch combo, landed one good right hand during that small flurry. Back with the jab now.
And you could change that all. That 3 jab looked good for Renaud, but Castro could change that with one big left hook. Because, landed 3 jabs, but that left hook or that big right hand, it looks like, your head got snapped back.
Tough round to call thus far. We still have a minute to go.
Beautiful straight right by Renaud. But he got to put it back on combinations.
That calm aggression by Jalen Renaud, as you talked about, Ray.
Combination is going to win this fight for either fighter. Got to put them hands together. One punch ain't going to do it.
Jalen Renaud in his quest to clean up his own backyard, trying to get the first one under his belt against Josniel Castro, who, despite born and raised and living in Boca Raton, Florida, is more or less a New England fighter. He's fought the bulk of his career up north.
He's from New England. No matter where he can,
That's right.
He can move to the Mars. He's from New England.
He's a New England fighter. Final 20 seconds of this fight. See if either guy's got one last flurry in him before the bell rings.
Castro definitely did what he wanted this round. He was throwing in combinations, making a miss, starting from the body, come back to the top, and come off that left hook. That right hand found it home all day in this round here.
And there's the final bell. Very interesting last two rounds. Castro's corner feeling good. Renaud's corner also feeling good. And you got to wonder how this one's going to go. And what you really want to see is each round by round score to see where the fight was in round 5, round 6, round 7. And that gives you a good idea of how that fight is won for either side. Who knows? We could have another draw at the end of the day. But a very close fight nonetheless. Very interesting to see how these judges had it. We saw different perspectives in our first bout of the evening that ended in a draw, with each fighter getting the victory on one of the scorecards before the third judge had it even. So always interesting to see the different perspectives and how these fighters have had it scored. But a very good, entertaining fight, Ray, for both sides. It
definitely was. I had it even for the first 6 rounds, 3-3. Then after that, I saw that Castro took over in the last 2 rounds. He was in better shape. I'm not saying Renaud wasn't in shape, but this Castro was in better shape. That closing right eye, I think, changed the whole thing, where Renaud felt more comfortable. Castro felt more comfortable leading that left hook and that right hand over the top.
Well, it's worth mentioning, too, that Castro's been the more active of the two. Renaud has had 2 years off, and certainly that's a factor. No matter how many rounds you spar, to get in there for the first time in more than 2 years, it's a tall order to fight 8 rounds and to fight him against a very well-established fighter like Castro. So perhaps that was a factor. And now we'll see on the scorecards if Castro finding his second win down the stretch is enough to actually win the fight. It's going to be very interesting to see the decision and very interesting to see where each fighter goes from here. This definitely has rematch potential.
Yeah, and you can see by the end of the fight, you tell the fighter, act like you won. Act like you won. Is it going to change anything on the scorecards? No. But what it does is, what we see as a close fight, the crowd sees a close fight. When you act like you won and say you didn't win, now the crowd tells you, yo, you won that fight. You think you won. And the next time you go out there, even better.
Let's find out who actually won this fight. We're going to send it up to our ring announcer, Margaret Cressa, for the decision.
Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for these 2 fighters one more time. After 8 tough rounds of boxing, we go to the judges' scorecards. Judge Ken Ezzo scores the bout 77-75. Judge Eddie Scancio scores the bout 79-73. And Judge Martha Tremblay scores the bout 78-74. All for your winner by unanimous decision, Josniel Castro!
There it is. Castro gets the win by unanimous decision. Ray, you said it. You had it 5 rounds to 3. One of the cards, I believe, reflected that score. We had a little bit of discrepancy, but at the end of the day, it appeared that Castro